Hey, OutSystems developers, Russell Youngblood, Senior Solutions Architect at OutSystems. And of course, we have big news bouncing off the One Conference in Amsterdam 2026, where it was all about Agentic Systems Engineering. And this is really a new approach to enterprise AI-driven development that helps organizations build, manage, and evolve governed agentic systems. At the core is the enterprise context graph, extending OutSystems model-driven development into an open context layer. We've also unveiled the next generation of Mentor, and with our shift to an open ecosystem, your team can now use any agentic tool to inspect, extend, and build on the OutSystems platform. I'm here to give you the highlights and a quick demo, so let's get into it. Let's talk for a moment about the challenges we're facing as developers and enterprise organizations. AI adoption is accelerating rapidly, and it's fundamentally reshaping the economics of software development. By 2028, nearly 90% of engineers will rely on AI assistance. We've reached a clear tipping point, and AI is now the default, not the exception. At the same time, almost 60% of developers are using 3 or more AI tools. This creates a fragmented and increasingly difficult to manage ecosystem. And with over 40% of code already machine generated, we're now operating at a scale where traditional human-only review simply can't keep up. So this is the new economic reality. Code is faster and cheaper to generate, but the risk is rising exponentially. Gartner projects a surge in software defects as AI-driven development scales, and most IT leaders lack confidence in governing it securely. The takeaway is simple. The easier it is to build, the harder it is to control. And we're already seeing the impact in real-world outages. AI is accelerating change, but enterprises don't yet have a safe way to manage it at scale, and slowing down is not an option. The core challenge is that AI can't navigate enterprise complexity. It lacks context, expands the blast radius of change, and operates outside the software development lifecycle, amplifying risk at a speed that we've never seen before. And this is exactly why OutSystems Agentic Systems Engineering is a winning approach. It's specifically designed to help you build, operate, and evolve governed agentic systems at scale. It addresses the technical complexity and fragmented architecture of the modern enterprise that are often difficult to reason over. By developing the rich context and the guardrails agents require, it ensures the delivery of reliable, secure, and compliant systems. And finally, OutSystems Agentic Systems Engineering is now open. And what that means is that you can plug in the AI tools that your developers already love and unify them under one governed lifecycle, further eliminating the fragmentation. So in the last video that I created, I built an application with OutSystems Mentor that supports an insurance business, tracking leads from acquisition all the way to close. And you can see I have prospects, a number of leads here, then activities that are associated with each one of those prospects. So if you'd like to see how I built this, you can check this video out on my YouTube channel. But at this point, I have it open in ODC, the IDE that we use at OutSystems to manage, build, and maintain applications. And I'm going to open up my pair programmer, the IDE version of Mentor. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to find an entity in another application that has some office locations. So what we will assume is that our insurance business, we do have brick and mortar locations. And very quickly, you can see with the context awareness, Mentor has been able to locate that data and then bring that data into my application so that I can use it here. So I'll expand the data layer, and you can see that here's my SG Insurance office locations ready to go. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Mentor to verify that I do have the OutSystems Maps component that I can utilize in this application. Now, I can already see it here in the data layer, so I know that it's there, but I'm just going to test to see how quickly Mentor can find this particular component. And you can see very quickly it does find the map component status. It verifies that I do have access to it in this application, and we can utilize that for building a new screen. So at this point, it even makes a recommendation. It can tell that I've got some data and I have the component. So I probably want to add a screen with all of the different office locations I'm going to verify that that is indeed the plan. And I'm going to also give it a little bit more detail about what that screen should look like. Idealistically, a map with the different map markers, and then the user can click on the map markers, and that will take them to the detailed office location information. So double checking that particular entity, I do have a latitude and longitude that I can utilize, and all of the information is there that I need. So I'll give it that directive, and it's going to map out a plan. It's going to bring back some different options and a full plan. I like what I see here, so I will simply tell Mentor to go ahead and proceed, and it will get to work adding these office locations to a screen, and then add a map to that screen as well. So that's just going to take a few seconds. It builds out the screen for me and adds all of the assets to that screen that I need. And it even brings back a suggestion telling me that it can center up the map and then add a pop-up with the different office details. So that sounds pretty good to me. I'll go ahead and tell it to proceed. And then as you can see, Mentor has hit a snag here. There may be some technical reasons or otherwise reasons why this may not be the best practice or work in the way that I would like it to. So we have another option, right? So Mentor is continuing this conversation with me. It gives me some additional information on another way or another plan that we can implement here to get this screen up and running. And I like what I see here. So I'm going to go ahead and tell Mentor to proceed with this plan. And it will, of course, create the screens. I can then go to the interface layer. I can open up that office location screen. I can see the map, all of the locations on the right-hand side, and we'll go ahead and publish this to see what this looks like, and we can test it out in the browser. So once again, with the contextual awareness of the OutSystems platform, Mentor makes it pretty fast and easy to navigate and build out new screens and add this particular screen with the maps and the information that I need. And so now what we'll do is we'll switch gears and we will try this out using Claude Code. Okay, as of the date of this recording, which is May 27th, 2026, the OutSystems MCP is available. It is in early alpha, but if you scroll down, you'll see that there's instructions and you can copy and paste to install into Claude, install Kiro Chat, and then the other resources that you might need. Now, once again, we're still in early alpha, but it is ready to test. Okay, now with Claude Code open, the first prompt that I'm going to add is so that I can get an understanding of what MCP tools are available. So Claude is going to list all of the tools that I have access to and group them by function. So here we have the groups of authentication, apps, context service, mentor, publish, deployments, external libraries, environments, and it even gives me some key workflow reminders at the end of the listing that I can consider as I continue to work with Claude and the OutSystems environment. Okay, next up, I'm going to prompt Claude to give me the enterprise context and architecture in an HTML graph visualization. So here you can see that we made sure it's an OutSystems styling, dark mode, and we want to be able to filter based on assets types, right? So this is a high-level view, but it surely shows the context of my environment. Okay, enough messing around. Let's go ahead and start to work on our application once again. And we are going to do the same thing that we did earlier with Mentor, in that we're going to add a screen to our insurance sales lead tracking application. Now, first we'll need to make sure that Claude has access to the application. Once it does, it's going to bring back a good bit of information, the data model, the screens, all the roles. And the first thing that I want to do before we proceed is we want to make sure that we do have the maps component in this application. So I'm going to write a prompt to verify that the OutSystems map component is available, and we'll let Claude do its work on that. Once it verifies that we do have the map component, then what we'll do is add the data. So remember, the data entity is in another application, so we can search very quickly and we can find that data. Claude should be able to find that no problem, bring it into the application as a dependency, and then we will have the entity with all of the locations to build out the screen. And sure enough, we can find it, we can inspect all of the attributes of the entity, and we now know that we're ready to go. We have the maps component, and we have the entity to work with. So let's go ahead and publish this first. Anytime that I'm modifying the data model, I like to publish the application before I modify any front-end screens or any workflows. So we've got it published, and the next step will be to add a prompt that will prompt Claude to build out our new screen using the maps component. We want a list of all of the office locations and then a map with all of the map markers placed so that when the user clicks on the map marker, it should represent the correct location address based on the latitude and longitude. So we'll let Claude do its work, and pretty quickly we have that screen built. Once that screen is built, Claude will go ahead and publish those changes, and then we can switch over and we can preview this from the IDE. Back in ODC Studio, things look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and preview this in the browser, and everything seems to be functional. The map is on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side, but it is clickable. Everything seems to work. However, I noticed that there is not a locations link at the top, so we'll drag and drop the screen to the top menu. In the IDE, we can also adjust the link by adding an icon. This is pretty simple. So on the toolbar to the left, we'll search real quick, grab an icon, add it. We don't have to go back to Mentor. We don't have to go back to our prompting for this. We can just make a surgical change here within the IDE and update the menu item and then add an icon to the menu. Okay, for a quick review, in this video I've introduced Agentic Systems Engineering with the OutSystems Platform, the value of the enterprise context graph, and I've built an office location screen with a clickable map using both Mentor and Anthropic Claude. I hope this video has been informative and helpful as you continue your OutSystems journey.